Welcome into another edition of Training Camp Report presented by Advent Health. Casey Phillips here with senior writer and editor Scott Smith, back for another day. First of all, we have just been blessed and highly favored with the weather these first few days.
Looks like another good one today.
I have a feeling these rookies are getting a false sense of security. I think it's going to probably
reckoning
not
is
last.
coming.
Yeah, there will be a day. A nice way for them to ease in, though. I do appreciate that. And man, we had some really interesting storylines these first couple days of practice. It's not a quiet start to practice, that's for sure. Big plays, big moments, big press conferences, all of it. So tell me a bit. First of all, of course, Baker Mayfield spoke for the first time. That was the big headline yesterday. What did you take away from his press conference?
Well, of course, as you would expect, and the entire thing was about his contract situation. That's what the media wants to talk about, and it's understandable. Of course they would. It's clear that he's disappointed that a deal did not get done before the start of training camp, and we all know that he had set a deadline for negotiations that if a deal was not done by the start of training camp, then negotiations would stop for the season. And his phrase that he used a lot was, "It's all ball from here." So nobody likes that this is happening, obviously. He used some words that suggested, a lot of disappointment. You never know what's going on behind the scenes, but on the field, I do think that Baker is exactly what exactly true to his word. He's going to be focused on football, and he's going to be as motivated as ever, and he's motivated to help this team win. He really thinks this team has a good shot of winning a lot of games. He says he is going to have a very good year. He feels very confident about that, which would be great for everybody involved. Of course, it would impact negotiations at the end of the year, if you put together another great year. So, that's where we're at right now. We're not going to know what's going on behind the scenes from here on out through the next 5 months or whatever, but we know that Baker's focused now on football, and while it's not a great thing that a deal didn't get done, it is a great thing that we have a locked-in quarterback. Yeah,
I would agree with that. And I love that he said how grateful he is for all the things that the Bucs have done for him. And I love that he has said, I mentioned when I said, now I'm all ball from here, that he's given 110% all the time. And
Not worried about that.
Yeah, we're never worried about that. And I also like that he said he really wanted to still show who he is as a player and a leader to these new players who don't have the history with him, that he's like, I'm still planning on really showing them what I'm about.
Well, he made a point of talking to them. He addressed the team because he said, I know the people who are already here know who I am, but there's some new people here, and I wanted them to know what I'm about. And, it's not this contract negotiation stuff.
Yeah, he's about football. All right, well, that's obviously a big storyline to keep an eye on this whole year, frankly. And then I know we also got a chance to hear from Coach Bowles, as we do most days of practice. And, I was really excited to see him talk about Keionte Scott a bit, because
I love that guy.
I think this is going to be a really interesting player, and he has not been discussed quite as much as, say, his other Miami teammate, which is understandable.
Ruben
But not only Todd, but other players were also incredibly high on him and excited about him. So what did we learn so far?
I think the Bucs thought they got a steal, just like they did with Ruben Bain, with getting Keonte Scott in the 4th round. And at the time they got him, they touted his versatility, but said probably he would start out focusing on slot corner. And instead, what has happened at the start of this training camp, now he didn't really get to practice during OTAs and minicamp because he had a wrist procedure and was recovering from that. And so, this is really the beginning for him. And they're throwing everything at him. I mean, Zyon McCollum basically said nobody's doing more than this guy, and he's a rookie. That he's already in the first 2 days taking reps at outside corner, slot, and safety. And, that kind of versatility is something that obviously our coaches have prized for a long time in the secondary, but it's an interesting situation right now when you're talking about what's going to happen at outside corner with Benjamin Morrison and Jacob Parrish, and Benjamin Morrison not practicing right now, and Parrish was in the slot last year, but could he be on the outside this year? Could Keonte Scott be in the slot? You think your safeties are set, but if there's a guy missing, it's kind of like when we had Christian Izzian. You have somebody who can really fill in at any position. So it's a really impressive start for Keonte Scott.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a great person to watch in preseason in particular. And those are the kind of guys that you can see some big plays happen in the preseason as well that can get you excited.
It's interesting to hear what Todd Bowles had to say about Keonte.
For him, it's been great because he went yesterday for the first day after missing the whole spring. He played corner, he played nickel, and he played safety. So to process that kind of information and to come out on your first day and then come out today and do what he's been doing has been phenomenal to see. It really helps him learn the defense, moving around, playing different spots. So his mind is outstanding. So we just look for him to keep getting better.
All right, so I know it was exciting to hear him talk about that. It's a great guy on that side of the ball. You know who always brings the excitement? Des Johnson, one of the smaller receivers, making one of the bigger plays of yesterday's practice and adding a flourish onto the end of it, as he's known to do. And if you were wondering if the back flipping was just a year one thing.
No, that's his deal, huh?
It's his deal. It's his deal. We had this big touchdown play. Of course, the brightest cleats I've ever seen in my life. And here we are with you and I before the show. We're debating.
There's a word for this.
There's a word for this.
It's
Gymnast.
not just back flip.
I don't know. Is it like a round off back handspring? Does that sound right?
I like it. I'll go with it.
I told Scott all I managed was a cartwheel when I was in gymnastics. I was a wee bit tall for gymnastics.
That was one of 3 touchdowns he scored during touchdowns, quote unquote, during practice. Another one was a really nice play in low red zone 7-on-7. With the defender wrapped all over him right at the back of the end zone. Just a really nice catch, like really showed off his hands. You said it. Obviously, the reason he was a 7th-round draft pick is he's maybe the smallest receiver in the NFL or close to it. But he has everything else, and he has the speed, and he runs good routes, and he has great hands. And he really had a big day yesterday, and Todd Bowles talked about that as well.
Mentally, it's been outstanding. He's playing fast because he knows the system where he's getting it down a lot quicker, and he's become a very good pro and a studious person right there. So that allows him to play even faster than he's already played. So, and he can get down the field and make plays, and he made them.
All right, well, so Ben Bredeson is also another guy who we got a chance to hear speak, and it's of course the offensive line was like the story last year because they were just so snake bit with all those injuries. And we know that Tristan has a little bit of that hamstring tweak right now, but not considered anything serious. He'll be just fine. And we are really excited about the idea of having these guys kind of coming into the season as a group all together. Of all position groups, the cohesion is the most important for offensive line. So, what did you hear from Ben Bredeson, and just that you're keeping an eye on for what this group could accomplish?
Well, Ben was really excited about that, about getting back to that line in 2024. All 5 of those guys are still here and expected to start. Tristan obviously a little bit laid up right now, but at the beginning of the season we're hopeful that we have those 5. And that's got a lot of people, including Ben, very excited. But also the addition of Zach Robinson, the new offensive coordinator, means some changes to what they're doing up front. And probably of everybody, it's the offensive line that has the most to learn when it comes to an offensive coordinator bringing in, especially a new rushing attack. Now, we're still going to run a lot of the gap in the duo type of run schemes that we have in the past, but he is adding wide zone concepts, and that involves a lot of lateral movement, and it's supposed to, Zach Robinson has said he thinks it plays into the athletic abilities of our offensive linemen. So I think that our guys are excited about this, and Ben Bredeson had something to say about that.
Yeah, I'm very, very impressed with it. A little bit more of some wide zone stuff going in, and it's, it's something that I feel can work, and it's obviously worked with, Atlanta and his previous stops before that. So I'm excited for it.
All right, so also I know that it's just going to be really fun to watch that group. They're an incredible group personality-wise. As you mentioned, the athleticism, the size. I think they have the chance to be one of the top units.
They were in 2024.
In the whole league this year. So very excited about that. All right, we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to have a discussion about the tight ends. We also have Greg Auman from Fox Sports coming on later. But for now, our own Tony Castricone caught up with Zyon McCollum after practice yesterday.
What's up, crew? Day 2 is done here at the Advent Health Training Center. I'm with Zyon McCollum, who had a pick yesterday in day 1 of training camp. Zyon, that had to feel pretty good, huh?
Anytime you're getting hands on the ball, it feels good, especially when you take one from Baker, because you can kind of chirp back at him. And he's going to fire right back at you, so it's fun.
All right, well, tell me a little bit about your journey here. I know you're the elder statesman in the room now. What's that feel like?
It's kind of surreal. It's kind of crazy, coming in, being the young guy, and being surrounded by vets, and now kind of being at the top of the mountain. It's like everything's flipped 180, but I learned so much, you know, from a rookie year to now, and so I feel like I just have so much to pour off into these guys.
Well, and just getting to know you, reading up on you, 5th-round draft pick from an FCS school. Not everybody makes it 5 years under those kind of situations. Like, what was it like to see your career evolve and get you to this point? Tell me about some of the ups and downs.
Yeah, you know, coming out of Sam Houston, FCS, you know, I never saw myself as an FCS guy, you know, and that's the reason why we won a national championship there, because we instilled that mindset that, you know, we bleed, we wake up, and like anybody else does. And so coming here, you know, it was really just all about self-improvement and kind of seeing myself make plays, and I always saw myself as being one of those guys. And so being able to learn a lot from Bowles and from Kevin Ross and from a lot of the coaches I had early on kind of put me in position to where I am, and just continuing to have that growth mindset and stay humble really helped me, you know, continue to submit myself.
I know you're always working on things to improve in the off season. What was kind of your focus of this off season as you head into camp?
Really just being able to learn how to take more chances. You know, learning how to deal with injuries and being able to overcome adversity is something that's part of the game, but at the end of the day, we get paid to take the ball away. And so finding out how to take more chances, finding out how to read offense a little bit better, see and learn from schemes, learn from some of the offensive guys. Now I'm ready to go out there and take some chances.
All right, 3 career interceptions. We are looking forward to number 4 when that comes this year, early in the season. Zyon McCollum, thanks for the time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks so much, Tony. We're loving that he's getting these interviews after each practice for us here on the show. So now let's dive in to the tight ends. Each day we pick a different position group to kind of go through, because I know 90 guys on the roster. It's always good to have a refresh on who all is actually at each of these positions, and especially as these preseason games happen, who are some of these maybe 3rd, 4th, 5th string guys that are fighting for those spots that could end up making a very big difference. So tight end is a position that in recent years has not undergone a lot of change.
Yeah, we have everybody back.
And it's still fairly consistent from these last few years. So, of course, it all starts and ends practically with Cade Otton on that group. So what are your expectations now with Zach Robinson for not only him but this whole group?
Cade Otton has led the NFL among tight ends in offensive snaps over the last 3 years combined. He's always on the field because he always does everything exactly the way he's supposed to, and coaches love that, right? But he's also averaged roughly 50 catches per season in his 4 years so far, and he got a pretty decent new contract in the offseason, so you can tell the Buccaneers value him a lot. There may be more tight end usage under Zach Robinson. Certainly that's what he did in Atlanta, but you got to believe the Cade's still the bell cow of that group. He should be on the field a lot, and you wonder if they do run more 12 personnel, which includes 2 tight ends on the field, if there are going to be some more opportunities for maybe more catches for him. So I think it could be a really exciting year for Cade Otton.
And so how about Devin Culp and Payne Durham? What do you see from those 2 guys?
Well, you know, Payne Durham, I don't think I even knew. I think very quietly had a really strong year as a blocker last year. And I don't know if that was necessarily the scouting report on him coming out of Purdue, but he has turned into one of the NFL's better blocking tight ends, and specifically where he excels is in the type of blocking where it's kind of a 2-level thing where you chip or help double team the first guy and then you move up to the next level and get maybe a linebacker. His more advanced metrics in that kind of blocking were really impressive last year. So if we do run 12 personnel a lot, you would think he'd be the one most likely to be the second guy, and maybe they'll take more advantage of his receiving abilities. He only had 4 targets, not catches, all of last season. So it'll be interesting to see if there's more to be gained from him as a pass catcher. And then, you said
Devin Culp as well, yeah.
Devin Culp still looking to develop as that downfield threat. He could be, he has the speed, he has the good hands, so we'll see if that occurs.
And then, of course, you have 2 rookies now. You have a draft
Well,
pick.
we also have Kokeeft.
And Kokeeft, yes.
Can't
We
forget
can't forget
Kokeeft.
about Kokeeft. First of all, he was hurt a lot last year, which was a very big bummer, not only for the tight end room, but special teams and everything.
Yeah.
So I think he's an underrated contributor to this team.
100%, and I don't think we knew that until after he got hurt. And then one interview after another with coaches and players, they were talking about how big of a loss it was, and you're looking like he plays like 20% of the snaps. Well, he's a tone setter, and he's a blocker they use all over the field, and when they lost him, they lost something that they didn't have a replacement for. And he got a new contract too. So again, you can tell that there are reasons why they value these guys, and I think they like Kokeeft for being that kind of tone setter that he is. And then, we drafted Bauer Sharp in the 6th round. It was a really deep tight end class, so even though it was a 6th round pick, that was still, we traded up to get him. an athletic guy. Coach Bowles said yesterday he's been impressed with his athleticism. He just, now wants to see what it looks like when the pads go on in a few days, because we want to see what kind of blocker he is. He's definitely a willing blocker. He very much is willing to block. It's just a matter of, how he handles it at the NFL level. And then the final guy on the list is Kenny Fletcher from Rutgers. I honestly can't say that we know a lot about him yet. He's the undrafted rookie, and that's, that means this is his camp to try to prove himself. And, he'll be trying to angle for a spot on the active roster, but if he can get a spot on the practice squad, that's a great place for a lot of players to start.
All right, well, I think we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to have Greg Auman from Fox Sports here to join us, so we'll see you in a minute.
Hurry! Come on, Granny!
We are currently expecting our second child, and I'm very, very thankful that it's a later April baby, because I can still get to San Fran if I need to in February.
We are pregnant, and today we're 14 weeks, and we are finding out if Coco's gonna have a baby brother or a baby sister.
She's not gonna be very happy either way.
We have a cake for the humans and a cake for Ferg. Most of our friends and family are split.
I think boy.
I think boy, for no reason other than gut feelings. What do you think?
Easy, easy. No, not yet.
Okay.
Got another sweats too.
Ready?
1, 2, what?
Push it in and then just wait. 1, 2. I looked.
You did? I didn't look
We're
yet.
right.
We're right? Let's go!
You're gonna have a brother. Look, Sissy. Look. You wanna taste it? No. Fergus, look. Here.
Go ahead.
Free.
Go.
Oh my God. You're gonna have a brother. Look.
It's a boy!
Boy.
A boy? I feel like just because you guys are talking about it, it felt like a boy, but I can't believe it actually is.
Ugh, Fergus, I tasted the icing. That's horrible.
Probably no sugar.
That tastes like mayonnaise.
Should he eat the whole thing?
I don't think so.
Good
Wait,
job,
his
Bubba.
cake icing tastes like mayonnaise, or your cake icing?
Not his.
His.
It could be mayonnaise. This is really good.
Yeah, it's great.
Yay! Yay, Cece! You want the blue part? We really didn't care.
Bubba, was it delicious?
We would love to have 3 if we are so blessed, and so we would not find out the gender on the 3rd. So we're very excited about it being a boy.
Welcome back into the Training Camp Report presented by Advent Health. Casey Phillips here now. So excited to be joined by Fox Sports reporter Greg Auman. Greg, thanks so much for being with us.
Of course, thanks for having me. Nice to be settled in and going to training camp here.
Yeah, we figured a couple days in, we'd love to get your take on just some of your initial takeaways from these first couple days of practice, what you've been watching, paying attention to, and overall takeaways.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's always cool the first week that this isn't really a week where the defense is dominated or the offense is dominated. I think you've seen a couple of individual plays on both sides. Just enough of those kind of goal line periods and 11-on-11 periods to get a sense for things. It's all just starting. Like as Todd will tell you, it's not in full pads or anything like that. But no, just nice to see everything get back in a rhythm. You start learning jersey numbers and feel like you're back in the swing of things.
Yeah, and so tell me, offensive side of the ball, what are maybe some of the position groups or players that you plan to really keep an eye on throughout the rest of this camp?
Yeah, this is a team that doesn't have a whole lot of starting jobs up for grabs, so you don't really have to worry about that. Receiver's a fun position to watch for this team. Obviously, Mike Evans is gone, and that changes everything, but the depth at receiver is outstanding. I mean, to see Tez Johnson had a day yesterday. Tez had 2 back-of-the-engine toe taps and then had a really nice deep ball that he caught and had the flip afterwards. So you think about like Tez is probably like receiver 4, receiver 5 on this team. So the depth is really strong. And McMillan, Jalen has looked the part. Chris Godwin was singing his praises the other day. Obviously, Emeka's in a position to really step up and look like the guy that showed glimpses in the first month of last season. So the receivers are fun to see. Kenny Gainwell, to see how he's fitting in with the running backs, to have 3 solid backs. They kind of invested in that position a lot. And even tight end. I mean, Bauer Sharp had a nice touchdown catch and goal line yesterday. So it's all new and fresh, but it's just it's fun to see the pieces that you'll be writing about all year.
I know that you cover not only the Buccaneers, but especially a lot of the NFC South and NFL overall, which means you're very familiar with Zach Robinson.
Yeah.
What do you see as his addition to this team and the way that he could bring the best out of certain individuals or position groups, and what a Zach Robinson Buccaneers offense could look like?
Yeah, I think it was neat. Todd was asked yesterday about the novelty of not having a first-time play caller and the experience that Zach brings as someone who's done this job in the NFL, in this division with Atlanta. And the benefits of that, because obviously there was good and bad with having entirely new play callers at times over the last couple of years. I think what Zach did in Atlanta, you saw a balanced offense, you saw obviously a great run game, an offensive line. You think about how good the Bucs offensive line was in 24. That was obviously a strength in Atlanta while he was there. I'll be curious to see. It's one of those where he goes, we just talked about receiver depth. I felt like Atlanta had maybe the worst receiver depth in the NFL. So didn't have a lot of guys to throw to there. Now has that here. I mean, like David Sills, who is a big guy for him in Atlanta, is like battling for receiver 6 here with Tampa. So no, neat to see. Used a lot of double tight end looks. I think they had more 12 personnel in Atlanta than any team in the NFL. So curious if they do that here. That's obviously a look offensively that you can run and pass out of. So there's some versatility and some unpredictability that comes with that. You think about Atlanta's offense, you think about a 2-back attack and how much they were willing to take a great elite back like Bijan Robinson off the field late in games, in goal line and red zone, and used Tyler Algier last year. So I think that suits him well for what they'll have now, where you have Bucky Irving and Kenny Gainwell really as 1 and 1B, 1A and 1B. They'll both play big roles, and I think he's used to rotating 2-backs. Sean Tucker's even here as a 3rd, but keeping 2 guys happy, both really active in the offense and even in the passing game a little bit too.
We've heard a lot of talk this offseason about the goal to get bigger, stronger, nastier, edgier, however you want to phrase that. Tell me about the defensive front and what you think it could look like compared to last year and the different guys that have been brought in and the impact they could have.
Yeah, definitely. There's probably where the biggest change is for this Bucs team. There's not a whole lot different, but the front 7 on defense definitely is very different. If you look at A'Shawn Robinson's team mugshot, there's always the spectrum between smiling and like stoic, and like A'Shawn is legit like angry in his mugshot. We were talking.
It was like he was picturing the other team.
Right? No, he was. We were talking to Christian Roseboom, the new linebacker, and he played with A'Shawn both with the Rams and the Panthers, and he was saying he's like, no, I kind of like that he's on my team. He's kind of scary. Yeah. So I think in terms of bringing a tone and like you said, a nastiness to the line of scrimmage, that's what A'Shawn Robinson will do. That's what Reuben Bain will do. I think to have linebacker be very much a new position with both Alex Anzalone being a veteran leader that kind of takes that Levante role. And then Josiah Trotter. You see Josiah at practice and absolutely looks like an NFL linebacker, conducts himself like somebody who's been in the league multiple years. And Roseboom's new there too. So the front 7, I think, will be, it probably is where they recognize that they had to make change the most. And I think they certainly hope you add healthy Kalijah Cansey. That changes that front as well. So that might be where they have a chance to be most improved from a year ago.
I love that A'Shawn, I feel like, is the perfect kind of adding the edginess the way the Bucs want, where it's all on the field.
Right.
And off the field, the guy would probably rescue a kitten out of a tree.
Right.
And I'm like, what a perfect combination of
there's
people
a switch
here.
to be flipped there.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Greg, thank you so much for coming on. We really do appreciate it and look forward to all of your coverage all of camp. And thanks to all of you guys for being with us here on this day of Training Camp Report presented by Advent Health. The players are off tomorrow, but we'll see you on Sunday.